Okay, and so Secretary Hayes, just want to say this massive and ongoing environmental disaster has destroyed untold natural resources, resulted in the tragic loss of life, and will have a devastating impact on the economy of the Gulf Coast region for years, probably decades to come. First and most important thing we need to do is get this spill under control before it does far more damage. Tough questions must be asked in the days, months, and years ahead to determine what happened, to hold those responsible accountable for their actions or inactions, and to prevent a disaster from like this from ever happening again in the future. I'm concerned that the federal government has not taken the lead in the response to this tragedy. Too much reliance has been placed on BP to find and fix this problem. Sadly, we are now 36 days into this disaster, and the federal government is still looking to BP to take the lead in solving this problem. We just heard the Secretary give that testimony. He's pointing his finger at BP and doesn't point the finger at himself or the department. Mr. Deputy Secretary, this past Sunday, the Secretary Salazar said this past Sunday in regards to BP, quote, "We are 33 days into this effort, and deadline after deadline has been missed." He went on to say, "If we find they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we'll push them out of the way appropriately," unquote. On Monday, Admiral Thad Allen, who was appointed by the President to oversee spill relief efforts in the Gulf, was asked whether the government was pushing the cleanup initiative strongly enough. Admiral Allen replied, quote, "We're actually defining it as we go. This is an unprecedented, anomalous event," unquote. And in response to the Secretary Salazar's statement on BP said, quote, "To push BP out of the way would raise the question, to replace them with what?" Unquote. They just, well, no further going on, they just need to do their job, unquote. Between the Secretary's statements today, those he's made recently and actions taken to date by the administration, it is clear that the federal government has not taken the lead from day one. The protection of American interests is the responsibility of the federal government, not BP. I heard the Secretary over and over say that it's BP's responsibility and would not take responsibility. He said over and over that you guys have been doing everything that y'all can do, and I find that totally incorrect. Deputy Secretary, do you believe that the federal government's response and the department's response has been adequate?
I absolutely do, Congressman. We are implementing the law that this Congress passed, the Oil Pollution Act of 1990, which establishes responsibility on companies like BP who create this kind of damage to fully fund and implement the cleanup. It also establishes a structure under the National Contingency Plan that establishes a national incident commander, here, Thad Allen, that has the responsibility and oversight of the responsible party. That is absolutely occurring. Let me suggest a separation between two issues, because I think you're confusing some very different situations. First of all, in terms of the response itself, Thad Allen and the Coast Guard has stood up an organization of now over 20,000 people in the Gulf of Mexico responding to the spill. You've heard the testimony today, the 1,000 ships, the thousands of employees, the millions of miles of boom, the dispersants. This is the most coordinated, hard-hitting response effort ever. The other piece of it is what's going on in terms of stopping the flow. We have experts from the Navy. We have Nobel Prize-winning Dr. Stephen Chu. We have the heads of 3 national labs. We have the head of the United States Geological Survey, all embedded in Houston. Every decision that BP is making, they are asking us for permission, and we are directing them what to do. Today's top kill is the culmination of intense effort with them. We are 5,000 feet down. There are the U.S. Navy has confirmed that actually the best technology is the technology that industry brings to bear. They're doing it under our direction, and their complete livelihood is at stake. There is no question, I don't think, about the commitment of the federal government and the effort of response. And for someone who has been working on this matter since hours after it occurred, the suggestion of the federal government is not putting everything at this effort is disappointing, to say the least, and incorrect by any empirical measure.
Well, Secretary Hayes, I respectfully disagree with you. Reports come out of Louisiana where federal vessels were sitting there idle, and the state had to take its emergency management authority to try to get those responding to this bill. And I don't mistake that there are two pressing issues. One is stopping the continual flow of oil into the Gulf, and the second one is cleaning up what's there. But it's my belief and understanding that the federal government has the responsibility under the law to take the lead role, and you guys have not done that. Shouldn't you have taken the lead role from the very beginning?
Gentlemen.